Good morning, everyone. That was pretty good. I'm impressed. We still have our beginning of the year energy. It's so wonderful to have you in this space for Newman Lumen this morning. For those of you I don't have the pleasure of knowing, my name is Reverend Julie Tonneson. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Associate University Chaplain and Leaf Campus Minister here in the Truett Center. Today for Newman Lumen, we are so excited to be collaborating with Counseling Services ahead of Suicide Prevention and Awareness Week, which actually takes place next week. So think of this time as your kind of like promotional space or a foretaste of the feast to come, as we sometimes say in the weird church liturgical spaces I'm a part of. I also want to acknowledge, before we begin our time together this morning, that there was yet another school shooting in Georgia yesterday, and 2 students and 2 teachers lost their lives in that incident. And so I invite us all into a moment of quiet to honor them and reflect on all of the feelings that brings up for us. Thank you. For our music today, we have a real treat. We have a trio, or a couple duos. I'm not quite sure how it's working. A couple duos, it sounds like, of folks representing Counseling Services: Tal Fish, Bonny, Buckley, and Jen Westurn. Do y'all have a band name yet? That's your homework assignment. The band name is coming. So please help me to welcome some fantastic combination of Tal, Jen, and Bonny.
Out in the deep end, you're treading water, waves crashing on you. Feels like you're sinking, like you're going under, so you paddle harder. But you don't have to be so strong when you're with me. On your darkest nights, you'll never be alone. I'll be by your side. Let it out, let it go. It's okay to cry. You can let the river flow. You can let the river flow. Oh, you can let the river flow.
Don't keep it a secret when deep down you're hurting. Just open the curtains. No, it's not a weakness to share all your burdens. The weight of the world can be heavy. You don't have to be so strong when you're with me. On your darkest nights, you'll never be alone. I'll be by your side. Let it out, let it go. It's okay to cry. You can let the river flow. You can let the river flow. Oh, you can let the river flow. On your darkest nights, you'll never be alone. I'll be by your side. Let it out, let it go. It's okay to cry. You can let the river flow. You can let the river flow.
Tal and Bonny, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for starting off our time together this morning. Our theme for Newman Lumen this year, as you're probably aware, is transforming walls into windows. And the idea behind this is hopefully to create a space where we can hear from folks who are sharing stories about what it means to tackle, whether it's difference, division, adversity, hardship, challenges, things that divide us and keep us from being our best selves as individuals and as parts of a community. So here to talk about how sometimes the walls that need to be transformed into windows, sometime are actually within ourselves, is Emerson Garon from the class of 2025. Emerson is a senior majoring in creative writing and professional writing and rhetoric with a minor in women's and gender and sexuality studies. Currently, he is writing a poetry collection that embodies our journey with mental health through early adolescence to the present as a step to dismantle negative stigmas around mental health and mental health treatments. Coinciding with mental health, Emerson is invested in disability justice and advocacy, specifically plain language policies and portrayal of disability in media. On that note, I also just want to add that during this morning's Newman Lumen, themes of suicide will be addressed. So if you need to do anything to care for yourself during this time, we invite you to do that. And also just want to make you aware that there are counselors and chaplains and other resources who are present and able to talk with you afterwards if that brings anything up for you. So please help me to give a warm welcome to Emerson.
Yes, okay. So, good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you all for coming to this event to hear my story. My name is Emerson Garon, and I'm a senior here at Elon. I'm very passionate about sharing my experience with mental health as I want to remove the stigma around mental health or the tabooness of it. And even though I am one person in a world of millions, if I can change one person's perspective, I have accomplished it. Mental health and illness, for as long as it's been recognized, has always been the subject of scrutiny. Diagnoses such as hysteria, or how you may have heard it called female hysteria, was used dating as far back as 5th century BC. This kind of thinking continued on centuries later with the word psychotic in reference to those with mental illness becoming increasingly prevalent throughout the 17th century. Luckily, we live in an age where medical knowledge is expansive and constantly changing, whether it be the definition of diagnosis criteria, symptoms, or the merging and separating of said illnesses. But today, I will tell you my story from the person I once was to the person standing in front of you now. I had wrestled with mental illness starting in my early adolescence. I was 13 when I first attempted to commit suicide, and my last attempt was in January of 2021. At 15, I became consumed by addiction, amongst other things. How does a teen move through these feelings when their life had barely started, when they really have no real understanding of what life is? It's difficult, simply put. I didn't know that help was something I could get. Sure, I had been in therapy here and there, but not enough to make a dent, not enough to make a lasting impact on me. I thought to myself, I will be like this until my final day. My sophomore year of college, I had finally had a consistent therapist, a psychiatrist, and I had a clearer view of my inner workings of my head. I began to understand why things made me feel a certain way, why I can't bear to be near people that remind me of someone in my past, and for the first time, I felt like I was the best version of myself. Of course, there were hardships in those years that had spun my world upside down, like the sudden death of my stepfather in December of 2022. In those brutal moments, I navigated it as well as I could with the help of my support systems, but I'd take a turn for the worst after 2 years of blissful stability. In January of this year, I had a break, a complete mental break. I didn't see it at the time, but I was back to the person many met in freshman year. I felt void of life, losing interest in things I loved most, isolated from the outside world, and neglecting my basic needs. And my thoughts shifted into the ones people don't like talking about with such openness. In March, I said to myself, I need help. I need more help. April came, and I took medical leave. It was a decision that took a massive weight off my shoulders, but that was just the start. And for the next 3 months, I would be attending Pasadena Villa in their mental health program. Admitting that you need help is hard, but doing the healing is harder. In treatment, I had to be vulnerable to heal, not just vulnerable to myself and to the therapist, but to those who were in the same position as I am. Those people who I once considered strangers at the time are now regarded as those who helped me get to where I am today. Now let's talk healing. What is healing to you? What do you think of when you hear the word healing? Is it recovering from an injury like a broken bone or a paper cut, receiving life-changing medical care that can relieve symptoms of a chronic illness? Or maybe it's transversing through life after a traumatic event. There's no right or wrong answer because there's no established rules to healing. Healing or being healed is what it is to you. It's what you make it. And my favorite lesson that I've learned is healing isn't linear. Healing, recovery, and processing traumatic events or mental health struggles is adjacent to a physical injury. It takes time. Time varies with each experience. Some things you will heal from and ultimately leave it behind you, while others may linger around no matter how much effort you put in, and that's okay. I know for a fact there will always be a handful of experiences that will cling to me for a long time, maybe even for the rest of my life. But by processing and observing each part of that memory, I have learned to accept that it's something I just can't put behind myself, but I don't have to let it control my life. It's an object on a shelf, a snow globe that's been tucked away in the furthest corner. I can reach it, touch it, observe it, and feel the emotions attached to it. And when I've let myself be with it long enough, it goes back to where it was on that shelf. I know it's there. Perhaps that's where it will continue to stay, but I don't have to carry that snow globe with me wherever I go. Healing is never easy, and I don't think it will ever be, but there are resources, people, and even communities that exist for those reasons, and it's up to you to make those choices. Another thing that I have told myself, if you truly want to get better, you have to put the work in. Healing can't come to you, you must go to it. Even now I'm healing. I'm healing by sharing my story to you all. I believe that telling your story is important because you never know who may be in similar circumstances as you are. And hearing one person may be what it takes for them to seek out what they need. I hope you all to remember to take care of yourselves in your daily lives, not just when you need it most. We are human beings, constantly changing creatures. We are never stagnant. The person you were yesterday may not be the same today. And I encourage you to reach out to those who may need help as well. Sometimes people just need that acknowledgement, that push to begin their journey. And I am always here to help. Never hesitate to reach out to me. I want everybody in the room to know that there is someone you can talk to without fear of judgment, and I encourage you to do so. Again, thank you all for coming and hearing my story.
For those of you who know me, know how much I like to talk. And I also like to involve others. So there's going to be a little bit of audience participation here at the beginning. Don't be afraid. For those who aren't as extroverted as I am. It is inevitable that there will be moments in life that leave us feeling so discouraged. But I am also extremely hopeful that there are also many, many moments and people that really encourage us. And there's 3 sounds that I like to make. Well, there's many sounds that I like to make. But there's 3 that I want you to enjoy today. So I invite you and I welcome you. Put one hand over your stomach so you can feel your breath. And one hand across your heart. And our skeletal system is made to resonate. Anybody ever in here sing to a baby or be sung to? It's one of my favorite things, lullabies. It's about co-regulation for parents too. But first noise that we're going to make is an sound. And all my coworkers that have eaten with me know that every time I go into a dining hall, I go, So take a deep, deep breath, and on the exhale, make a and fill the space with it. Ready? The next noise we're going to make is an ooh. One of my favorite ooh moments is anytime the sun is setting and it has that pink and purples and a mixture. The way I've seen that, guys, I'm not the only one. The way it just ooh, the clouds. Oh, on my drive homes, there are times I'm by myself in the car and I'll go ooh. So take a deep, slow breath in. On the exhale, you know what to do. Ooh. And then there are moments that make us go, Sometimes after a long, stressful day, one of my favorite moments in the wintertime, I'm freezing cold, and I jump in the shower, and the water's super duper hot, and I go, So take a deep, slow breath in, and you know what noise to make. If you want to keep holding this position, give yourself a little hug. We can be encouraging to others. we can be encouraging to ourselves, and I think the world needs encouragement every single moment. So if you want to keep holding this position, feel free. I often do that when I'm singing. And when Jen and I get to the verse that has no words, it's the same melody, but we're going, ooh, ah, and I welcome you to join us during that. And you can do it quietly to yourself and feel it resonate in your bones. This is my hope for the world, for everyone, and for myself. Love, peace, and joy. May